King Toddy back for another stream review. Today we're going to be watching the footage from the 888 UKPL Main Event in Luton. £560 buy-in with 57k up top. We made day 2 with average stack, as you can see on the left, but we didn't have a great bubble and we actually got into the money pretty short. We did find a crucial double up with ace-3 against 6s just before going on the stream, which meant we got to the stream table with around 16 blinds. We'll see what we can do today in this main event, and we're going to review a few of the hands using GTO Wizard to see what we might have done differently in a few of the spots. I hope you enjoy this video. So we get moved to the feature table, and who do we find sitting there with a huge stack? None other than Turk himself, who has also been heavily involved in growing all-in events. You can see him there smiling as he sees me approach the table, and yeah, I've not quite got the stack to compete with him this time, but if you do want to get on all-in events, do go to their website and sign up and buy some of the tickets to their raffles and get yourself in events like these for a fraction of the cost. It really is an exciting company that you're not going to want to miss. So get yourself involved, and I'll put a link in the description so you can get on there. You'll actually see in this footage here, I'm flagging down the tournament director to flag the fact that the tournament went from big blind 20k to big blind 30k, so a 50% blind increase, which is really unusual for a main event. I tried to flag this and suggest that they repeated the level or put another blind level in, but they said there was nothing that can be done. So here we are getting incredibly short, but it did provide some very interesting spots as a consequence, as I was sub 10 big blinds for pretty much the entire time on the feature table with 50 players left in this main event. Let's get in some of the spots. So it took us a while to find any kind of spot for our short stack, with Turk raising a lot of hands, but we do finally get a spot here when it folds round to us with just under 9 bigs and Jack 10 suited. No decision here, we're all in. Easy choice here, with anything making a royal for less than 10 bigs, from any position in fact, is probably going to be good enough. So we send it in, and this is nice, we get this one through. So we're going to do something different and look at this spot in GTO Wizard, just to give you a feel for how you would use this. So this shows you the range of hands. We've got this set up with 10% of the field left in ICM, and this shows you the hijack's range for 9 big blinds, and the purple is the hand you want to shove with. And as you can see, Jack 10 suited is right in the middle of this range here. Even Jack 9 suited, 10 9 suited would also be shoves. And there's not much to take from this hand. It's clear that Jack 10 suited was an easy jam for 9 big blinds, but just to give you a feel for how this works, so all the blues are the folding hands, all the purples are the hands that are going to shove, and then the oranges are the hands that might want to min raise, so the nutted hands, aces, kings, ace king suited, queens, and then a couple of bluffs, king 8 suited, queen 10 off, but that's a little bit higher level. I think we generally just want to play jam or fold for 9 big blinds in the hijack, and this was an easy one and we ended up taking down the blinds, but there will be some useful takeaways from looking at GTO Wizard in some of the future spots. Okay, so in this next spot we see it fold round to +3 or low jack, and Michelle is playing 17 bigs here, and he chooses to min open after some deliberation. And we see the Mad Turk with a speculative call here, 8-5 suited, but we know he gets amongst it. And it then folds round to us in the small blind, playing 9 big blind once again. And we have King Queen off and a decision. What do you think is the best play here with King Queen off against this action and the perceived ranges? Maybe we'll look at GTO Wizard to see what it thinks. So I'm using preset solutions in GTO Wizard, so it's not an exact fix, but I've tried to find as best match that I could. So in this one, the low jack has 35 bigs, whereas Michelle had 17, which would change the opening range quite a lot, but I think in this case it's still going to illustrate the point nicely. So low jack is raising, cut off, covers, calls, and we're in the small blind with 10. I know I had 9, but this is the closest one I could find. And what you'll see here is the hands in purple want to be going all in, and the hands in green want to play call. Now in game I thought this was a spot I would want to play jam or fold, when in reality there's actually a lot more calling than I realised. So that's the main takeaway from this spot. Now in game I chose not to jam because I felt like the 17 big blind opener was playing quite snug and he would only really have strong hands. Now, even if that's the case, the only hands we're really worried about are Ace King, Ace Queen, or Queen's Plus, which are all very good hands and we block them all heavily. So most of the time we're going to get it in decent equity situation with dead money from the small blind, dead money from cut off call. So I think there's a lot of merits to jamming this spot, but the main takeaway here, as we see, King Queen in green loves to just call out of the small blind, which is not something I really considered with King Queen off here, and I wish I had of in game. So let's run the clip and see how it plays out. So as you can see here, I ended up very reluctantly folding the King Queen off out the small. And what do you know, the big blind wakes up with the same exact hand and same exact stack, but he does not make the same mistake as me. He sends it in, and as we can see, it would have been a great spot with Michelle having ace jack and then Turk having some dead money in there like we expected. So in hindsight, I really, really wish I had made, well, I could have found the call. I wonder what the big blind does if I do find the call. I think he probably would have jammed, but if I do jam, I believe King Queen off is going to fold in the big blind. And we would have got it in against Michelle's ace jack and had a decent chance of winning. Let's look at equities here, which will take into account the folded king and queen. Still 44% despite me folding the king and queen. So he stands up despite not being all in, which each their own, I guess. Let's see what this run out brings and if we made a good fold or a bad fold. And it comes king high, obviously. Pretty frustrating because even if we chose the call option, that flop is definitely us. And is the king queen gonna manage to hold here? There's a queen on the river just for good measure. Despite me folding a king and a queen, they're still all in there, and he gets a nice double up, and it would have been our spot if I had taken it. So I think I was a bit passive in this spot, reading too much into the opener and thinking he's going to be too strong. But King Queen is just a very strong hand when you're down to the last 9 bigs, and I think I should have took this spot in hindsight. So after a few more folds, we finally find a spot in the hijack with 2 red jacks. What a beautiful sight. We're playing just under 9 bigs, about 8.7 bigs. And I don't see much decision here other than just to shove it in, which we do. Now, you'd think there's no reason to look at GTO Wizard, but I think there is some takeaways from this spot that I think we should have maybe considered. We did just choose to jam, leaving 2 chips behind, and we do eventually get it through. But the only thing is, we did actually cover both the small and big blind, which I didn't realise at the time. But I think there is maybe a case for finding a min raise here, but we'll see what GTO Wizard does think. So this sim is actually very similar to the one we used earlier for 9 big blinds in the hijack when we had the jack 10 suited, and as you can see it does suggest just open jamming the jacks for 9 big blinds. But as you can see, if we did have a hand as strong as queens in orange, we would choose to min raise this one, and I think we can make an adjustment here in a shallow main event with a lot of weak players and choose to just min raise the jacks off 8.7 blinds, as it's such a strong hand and you never know, the big blind might defend there, flop some equity, flop a pair and put it in, and we're going to be in a great shape to double up. So I think I actually wasted the jacks here and should have found a min raise rather than an open jam. Now in this next hand, we do see Michelle in the low jack send in his final 6 big blinds after the blinds went up to 40k. Now, it folds around to me in the small blind with a marginal hold-in with ace-3 of diamonds. However, I actually only have 7 big blinds myself, so I actually just about cover Michelle. And I started to think maybe this was a reasonable spot to take, as he's probably going to jam some worse hands, some broadways, some speculative 9-10 suited stuff like this. But the way you have to look at these spots, although there are hands we beat, there aren't hands in there that we dominate. I don't think there's pretty much any hand. Maybe ace 2 suited is the only one. I don't think they're ever going to shove with a 3 in their hand, like king 3 suited, queen 3 suited. It's just not a thing. And if we're going to put it in here for the majority of our stack, we do need to dominate a decent part of their range, and I just don't think ace 3 suited does dominate pretty much anything in the range. So At best case, we're going to be a slight favourite, and a lot of the time we're actually going to be a dog. So after deliberating it, I did find the fold, and lucky to see he had ace jack suited and was actually in terrible shape if we'd made the call here. So the next spot that was fairly interesting happens a few hands later, where we've got just 6.5, well not even 6.5, 6.4 big blinds in the cutoff with jack 9 off. Now in theory this is not a shove, but I had my reasons for shoving. Now the small blind has a very short stack, and I got the feeling that he was folding anyway, just the way he was holding his cards and stuff. And then the big blind had just one big blind behind, so he's basically forced all in. So although jack 9 off would not play well against a calling range usually, just because the big blind is so short, I think we actually get this in dominating quite often and in good shape. And it's actually quite an important pot for us. So we've only got 6 blinds. If we was to take this player out, we actually pick up nearly 4 bigs. So it's close to a double up if we manage to win this pot. Let's roll the clip.
That face looks like it. Oh, when he takes someone, I saw one of the call, he's going to have a jack or an eye. How much is it? 9.
So as you heard there, I correctly predicted that I was going to have him dominated based on him tanking there. And it's great news, he actually has jack 2. So we are in a dominating position up against a jack 2 of hearts. Let's run it out and see how it goes.
Well, there's a flush draw. Indeed, there is. Toddy with the best of it at the moment. But Raz. So, Raz needs a heart, a 7, a 3 would also chop it, or a deuce for the outright. Oh, the outright! Oh. The 2 on the river. Razvan survives. Toddy, 4 bigs to spin.
So there was a dagger deuce on the river, which does cripple us down to 4 bigs, and we would have had 10 big blinds if we had held there, which would have been the promised land, as I've had sub 10 big blinds pretty much this entire tournament. It has been a tough day. Let's see if we can spin it up though.
Alex with 10s. Leaving himself a chip. He's only got 4 big blinds.
So as you heard there, I find pocket 10s for my final 4 bigs. What a great hand to find. And we jam it all in, leaving just 1 chip behind. Now, the benefit of leaving 1 chip behind isn't just to take extra time. Sometimes there are situations where you might actually get to the next hand with that 1 chip, and then you've still got your tournament life, which I have had happen quite a few times. And it does enable you just a bit of time to try and maybe secure a pay jump. So that is why we did it. So let's roll out the clip and see what happens here.
The Turk. Queens for the Mad Turk. What about timing? He says he says all of it, ladies and gentlemen. There's the million. He says all of it. So Toddy is going to put them in. There's his chip. He's got to be in. He's forced all in. I'm pretty sure the 95% rule counts. And I'm pretty sure you're not allowed the 30 seconds or use time banks. But I'm pretty sure that there is a rule that you shouldn't be able to use a time bank. And he's asked for a count. Now, what? Now, this is just... Is the 80 quid the massive difference between... 1,130,000. No, I think this is wrong. I actually think that is wrong. But I might be right. I might be completely wrong myself. I'm pretty sure that Toddy can't ask for a count, can't use a time bank when he's only got 1 chip left. I'm pretty sure, I don't know. He's going to call, we know he's going to call. And his chip's going in, there we go. So he's not used a time bank, so that's all good.
So there was a bit of confusion there. Tower thought I was trying to stall there by asking for a count when I had just 1 chip behind, when in actual fact it was the other player in the hand who obviously asked for a count. I did not ask for a count, and I know the rules. I would never do that. Like, I was just taking my 30 seconds as I'm obliged to do and trying to secure a pay jump, which was at 32 players left. So that was all that was going on here. It did cause a bit of confusion. I did signify to the player when Turk shoved that I did still have one chip behind and the action was on me, and he proceeded to ask for a count and then fold out of turn. So that was what the confusion was about. But let's see this run out and see if we can find a miracle 10 on the ball.
Guessing there's no 10s available because we've got Turk with the check mark. Well done, Alex. 32nd for Alex Todd. He actually does get the £80. Dean Clay was out in 33rd. And it worked. So there we go. Just shows you the extra 80.
So, as you heard Tower eat his words, that little bit of extra time that I did take secured me the pay jump and an extra 80 quid, which is a tank of petrol for me to drive up and down the country to all these poker tournaments. So, yes, I will use my 30 seconds and try to get a pay jump. But no, I did not ask for a count. That was the other player. So, I just wanted to clarify that. But, yeah, this was another deep run for me, out in 32nd place, which I can't complain. It was a decent score. And there was a lot of takeaways from the live stream footage, playing the short stack and how I could have played a few of those spots differently. So I hope you did enjoy this footage and found some of the hands and the breakdowns with GTO Wizard quite insightful, just trying to mix it up and provide something different out of this stream footage that I did get. So if you did enjoy it, give me a like, give me a comment, maybe subscribe and help me grow this channel. And until next time, I've been King Toddy. Goodbye.